What's going on, everyone? Jack here from Half Chrome, and this is the BetaFPV Air75. And it, like this guy, the Air75, is an awesome tiny whoop. This thing is built ready to go, and it's hard to compete with actually either one of these quads. If you're looking for something that's a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, a little bit more powerful, a little bit better outside than the 65, yeah, this is it. Stay tuned, we'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay, so just to be clear, I think 65s are my favorite size of whoops, but 75s, they're a lot of fun because they're just a little bit more powerful and you can do a little bit more, specifically outside. I don't think that I'm really good enough as a pilot to fly a 75 like this indoors because it is just so darn powerful. Is that a bad thing? I don't really know. But it is absolutely a better quad outside than a 65. And actually, what I think you might want to do, if you're like me, put a throttle cut on your radio. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, and I actually have a throttle cut here where I can kind of dial it down. I can dial it all the way up to 100% and dial it down all the way to 25% on a switch. So if you want to know how to do that, I've got a video, I'll put that down below, but I think that's one way to kind of solve the power that you get inside for one of these things. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about what this is, and it's a tiny whoop. It's an indoor drone. It is fun, it is fast, it is pretty gosh darn durable. Now, all in all, it is just about 21 grams. That is super light. We have an analog camera here. It is the CO3 camera. It's actually pretty darn good, especially for a small camera. They put a little piece of tape because some people are having some bleed issues flying outdoors in light. I didn't really notice it, but either way, they fixed that issue. It has BetaFPV's all-in-one 4-in-1 board with the ELRS receiver not part of the board, but they do make that board, and it's actually pretty awesome. Probably the best way to build a tiny whoop if you're looking to do that. So I'll throw a link down below, and there's a video that I've made on the 5-in-1 board if that's something you're interested in. These are 0802 motors, 23,000 kV, and they're matched to these 2-blade props. Now, I'm not generally a fan of 2 blades. I prefer 3 blades. I feel that it helps me corner a little bit better. 2 blades are really pretty darn fast. They're good for straight speed, but these are actually really good 2-bladed props. I generally like to swap them out for 3s, but I don't think I'm going to with this one. These motors are directly soldered on here. They're not unplugged, so keep that in mind. And yes, you can change the angle of this camera. That's actually pretty aggressive, right? It gets only more aggressive from there, so just kind of keep that in mind also. The VTX is switchable. You can go 25, 100, 200, or 400. That is lots of power. It is a BT 2.0 connector. We have this T style, so it's coming back at you. And I did fly a bunch of different batteries, right? You can, of course, fly the old style BT 2.0s. They now make, BetaFPV makes these lava batteries with a BT 2.0 connector. These are 450s. They say you can get up to 6 minutes and 30 seconds of flight time on one of these. I think that's pushing it, but either way, you're gonna get more flight time out of a 75mm quad than you would a 65. I also was flying on these G&Bs. These are 830 connectors on G&B batteries, and they are compatible with BT 2.0, so that's pretty awesome too. Okay, I have 3 tips for you, things that you need to do when you get this quad. First one I already mentioned, it is put a throttle cut on it. That is so you can kind of work your way up to the power, especially if you're flying inside. 2, if you fly acro, turn on crash recovery. When you're flying outside or inside, or if you fly acro, when you bump into something that's hard to recover, if you throw on crash recovery, it makes it so much easier. And number 3, probably the most important, get yourself some E6000 glue. My very first battery flying this drone, I crashed and I noticed my picture was getting a little bit of fuzz. My antenna popped off. My VTX antenna popped off. These UFL connectors, they're exposed. This one is right up against this canopy and it's pushing against it. At some point when you crash, it'll pop off. And that happened to me with my Mobula 6. I didn't get to it in time. I was running it probably on 400 milliwatts like you can with this. That's a high power output, and it permanently damaged the picture, right? So now I always see just a little bit of snow in my Mobula 6. So I ran over, as soon as I saw that, I spilled my coffee en route to the drone, pulled off the battery, and I was able to connect it, throw on some E6000, and I got to it in time, so this one is fine. It's not damaged, but that is something you absolutely need to do. This is a couple of bucks, plus this is really great glue for fixing spine cracks and things. If you crack a duct, you don't have to replace it. Just E6000 this thing, and it'll be good to go. Overall, these things are both excellent drones, some of the best tiny whoops that you can buy ready to go. Now, I love them, and I do love the 75, but I still actually prefer this Meteor 75 Pro. It is bigger, it is heavier, but these bigger motors and bigger props in almost the same form factor. I think this is a little bit more stable. It's a little more fun to fly outside. So, I don't know, take that for what it's worth, but this is a good quad. This is probably a little bit more twitchy, a little bit more maneuverable, so there's that. But I just had to throw that out there because I really love this thing. Same thing with my 65. I took my 65 Pro frame and I put my VTX, my HD0 VTX and camera on here. Yeah, I just love that too, but that's just me, right? I made a video on this. There's a video on the other one if you want to check those out. I'll throw them in the description down below. Anyway, BetaFPV is making some really good stuff, and I know that there are some other interesting tiny whoops on the way, so I don't want to spoil it, but you're going to want to subscribe to the channel because some really cool stuff coming my way that you're going to want to see. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Good luck, everyone, and happy flying.